Fox News Alert now. We have major breaking news on one of the cases facing the former president, Donald Trump. Specifically, the documents case based out of Palm Beach, Florida. For more on that, David Spun tracking it in Washington, D.C. And David, I'll allow you to deliver this major headline.
Judge Eileen Cannon has dismissed the classified documents case against Donald Trump in Florida. This is massive news. We did not see this coming at all. This is a case that she tentatively postponed to a later date. The original trial was set for the end of May. She moved it back a couple of months, though not setting a date. She has just dismissed it in a 93-page court document saying that Jack Smith, the special counsel's appointment, violates the appropriations clause and the appointments clause of the United States Constitution. In layman's terms, she's saying that he was not appointed lawfully and not appointed appropriately. I'm sure we're going to be hearing from the Department of Justice about this momentarily, as Attorney General Merrick Garland believes that he had every right, and his team believes every right, that he could appoint Jack Smith as special counsel. We're going through this right now. It's 93 pages. The printer is cranking up behind me, page by page. But essentially, the bottom line here is that this documents case goes completely away for Donald Trump. There was a hearing that was originally scheduled for next week to talk more about this appointments issue. Judge Cannon issues this on the day of the beginning of the RNC. So right now, Donald Trump still has one pending case against him in federal court. That's here in Washington, D.C. That's his alleged attempts to try to overturn the 2020 election. Special counsel Jack Smith received a blow to that case just a couple of weeks ago with the Supreme Court. That seems to be somewhat delayed right now. But this is big news. No question that this case is completely dismissed.
All right. Woo, baby! Are you sick of winning? Ladies and gentlemen, are you sick of winning? Good morning. Good morning to you. I actually have my coffee right next to me inside of this little house that we've rented in downtown Milwaukee. We are here for the RNC convention, and we were planning on going live tonight from our brand new studio that is just having the finishing touches put on it right now. But we are live. Screw it. We'll do it live, ladies and gentlemen. I got my popcorn going in the background. I got my coffee going right now, and we are ready to be sick of winning. Are you sick of winning? Yet the documents case in Florida has been nuked from space by Judge Eileen Cannon on the worst possible grounds. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the worst possible grounds. The grounds are a concurrence of Justice Thomas finding that Eileen Cannon, Justice Thomas finding that Jack Smith, the special counsel, was unlawfully, wrongfully appointed and should have no access to taxpayer funds, and that taxpayer funds have been misappropriated and misused here. This is an unbelievable ruling, ladies and gentlemen. This is insane. I cannot believe it. We are sick of winning. Are you sick of winning, ladies and gentlemen? Donald Trump is a fighter. Donald Trump is a man who would take a bullet for this country. Donald Trump is a man who has taken a bullet metaphorically and now physically due to the incompetence, malice, and seething, vile hatred of the left, and more importantly, the establishment with which Donald Trump stands against. Donald Trump saying yesterday that he thanks God alone for preventing the unthinkable from happening. Yes, actually, you shouldn't thank the Secret Service, to be quite honest with you. There's a lot to be said on all this. That's not what this live is about. But I want to like set the grounds here. Donald Trump has the hand of God on him, and there is no other way. There's no other way to say it. And I say that as a believer. I don't say that as somebody who's flippant, who doesn't really care about God or doesn't know God. I say that as a believer. Donald Trump has the hand of God on him. Donald Trump saying thank you yesterday for the thoughts and prayers. God alone prevented the unthinkable from happening. We fear not. Instead, we remain resilient in faith and defiant in the face of wickedness. Oh, man. Donald Trump, defiant this morning as the documents case has been thrown out against him. Judge dismisses federal classified documents case. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this was a metaphorical bullet that was fired at Donald Trump, for lack of a better term, by the deep state, by the rats inside of the Joe Biden administration that simply wished to legally assassinate Donald Trump. And that is exactly what was happening here. Remember, they raided his house. This is important. They raided his home. They raided Melania's bedroom. They had an order to kill. Do you remember that? That was very important, and we will not forget it. There was an order to kill. So they sent federal agents from the FBI in to attack the federal agents that protected Donald Trump in a blue on blue. This is called a blue on blue scare, right? Where you have law enforcement agencies not sure who's going to fire first. They were trying to kill Trump. This was the case. And Judge Eileen Cannon has now nuked that case from space. It is gone. It's gone. All the court hearings, everything else, it's gone. It's finished. It's done. They're going to try and appeal in the 11th Circuit. They're going to fail. They're going to scream and bang pots together in D.C. today, and it's glorious. Judge Eileen Cannon on Monday dismissed President Trump's classified documents case, fighting unlawful appointment and funding of special counsel Jack Smith. Why it matters. Trump's the only former president convicted of a felony. He has a score of major legal wins ahead of Election Day. 2 remaining cases dismissed. Criminal cases against him remain on ice. Cannon, who was appointed by Trump, comes under intense scrutiny over handling of the case, blah, blah, blah. Get me something that isn't like the leftist pablum here, but whatever. Driving the news, the superseding indictment is dismissed, says Judge Eileen Cannon. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. We just have so much to get to here. Future Supreme Court Justice Cannon. This is what Matt Gaetz is saying. All right, here we go. Let's rock and roll. This is amazing. Here's from Eric Trump. And forgive us, we're going to be in breaking news environments apparently for the rest of our lives. This program has, no matter where we are, has never failed to set up a little studio like I've done here in the little living room of the Airbnb and read you the news. Here we go. United States of America, Donald Trump. Order granting motion to dismiss the superseding indictment. Former President Trump's motion dismissed President Trump's motion to dismiss, this is from the actual court documents here. President Trump's motion to dismiss indictment based on the unlawful appointment and funding of special counsel Jack Smith is granted in accordance with order number 326. The superseding indictment is dismissed because the special counsel Smith's appointment violates the appointments clause of the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution, Article 2, Section 2, special counsel Smith's use of permanent indefinite appropriations violates the appropriations clause of U.S. Constitution, Article 197. But the court need not address the proper remedy for that funding violation, given the dismissal on the appointments clause grounds. The effect of the order is confined to this proceeding. Whew, baby. Oh, man, this is so awesome. Read it and weep. I saw the comment section being like, wait a second, is this? There's no way. There's no way that this is actually happening. Yes, this is actually happening. Judge Cannon has dismissed the Trump's classified documents case. It's done. It's over. This tweet is nuking. Are you sick of winning? Are you sick of winning? President Trump told you you'd get sick of winning. He said that 7 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, now who's laughing? Oh, okay, let's go to some of the reactions from the experts. Maybe we'll get some experts on the program. I'd love to get Julie Kelly on the program. We have producers on site at the RNC. Again, I'm not there. We're just such an incredible, I'll show you. We have such an incredible broadcast booth that is being, the finishing touches are being, Morning Joe pulled off air. Dude, this is so awesome. Morning Joe will not be on air today. Incredible. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the scroll there. I wanted to show you we have an awesome broadcast booth that is just ready for us to put the keys in and turn the ignition, and that will be ready tonight. Although we may have somebody We may have some legal experts joining from the booth. We'll see on the program, but we are ready to rock there at the RNC. We are currently in Milwaukee. Okay, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Jonathan Turley, one of my favorites. Jonathan Turley had said that this was the case that he was the most worried about. Jonathan Turley said, hey, man, this is not this documents case. The dismissal of the classified documents case is seismic development from the beginning of the cases. I have said that Mar-a-Lago case was the greatest threat to Donald Trump. Now it's dismissed. It's so awesome. Now it's done for. Here we go. This was a 3-point shot for Trump. The easier basket was in D.C. case, despite a far more favorable judge for Jack Smith. The case is inundated with presumptive privilege, evidence, and challenged charges. Judge Cannon's decision mirrors the views of many leading lawyers who, the same constitutional flaw that led to Justice Clarence Thomas, expressly raised the issue from his recent opinion. There are good faith arguments on both sides of the question, but even critics must acknowledge that the anomaly of having constitutionally mandated confirmation process in the U.S. attorneys, but allow the ad hoc system of unilateral appointments for special counsels. The opinion is still an outlier among courts that have reviewed the question. Other courts have given a short shift to the issue. Judge Cannon was criticized for giving the challenge a full opportunity for a briefing in her court. The decision is another example of how Smith misplayed his hand in piling on charges in Florida. If he had simply gone forward with the obstruction charge, he could have had a trial before the election. Oh, man. So Jackson, what do we always say? What do we always say? What do we say here? All right. Their pride will be their downfall. Their hubris will be their downfall. Their downfall will be that they went too far, that they tried too hard, ladies and gentlemen, with this, and they hated Donald Trump so much. They were blinded by their hate. Blinded by your hate. They were blinded by their hate, ladies and gentlemen. I see ALX laughing there. Well, of course, we're going to work a Star Wars. Of course, we're going to work a Star Wars reference in there. They were blinded by hate. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is victorious, a champion, an absolute and total monster who is rising out of the ashes here. And it is just so beautiful. Here we go. Jonathan Turley and McCarthy on this, two of the legal experts on fire.
I think this is Merrick Garland and Joe Biden derivatively being caught on the axle of their own politics. There was not any reason for there to be a special counsel in this case. The Biden Justice Department investigated Trump for 2 years before Jack Smith was appointed. He was appointed because Garland knew there were going to be cases brought against Trump. He knew that Trump would make the political claim that Biden was using his executive prosecutorial authority against his political enemies. So in order to create the illusion of independence of the prosecution of Trump from the Biden administration, Jack Smith was put in for that purpose. But the problem is, constitutionally speaking, his position is not created by Congress, and he's neither nominated by the president nor confirmed by the Senate. And the roster that David just ran through, most of those special counsels were confirmed U.S. attorneys. Pat Fitzgerald was a United States attorney. John Durham was. David Weiss is. There's gobs of authority for the Attorney General to appoint any confirmed United States attorney to any matter he wants to appoint that U.S. attorney to. But what he can't do is create a position and then fill it from somebody outside the government who hasn't been nominated by the president or confirmed by the Senate.
Yeah, it always seemed that Eileen Cannon was a bit hesitant. She was the judge who was saying, "Hang on here a little bit," and think about this, Professor Turley. Yeah, but just let me finish the point here. Because these cases were proceeding in New York, like the E. Jean Carroll case, and everybody said, wait a minute, you can't do this because that's not fair due process. And then you had the 34 felony counts that kept going with Judge Merchan's case in his courtroom. And Eileen Cannon, see, she kind of, she put her voice into this a little bit, saying, wait a minute on this and wait a minute on that. And she seemed to be the one bucking the trend. Andy, is that a fair read?
I think it's a fair read with respect to some things, although I think she's just giving him a fair trial, which is not something that's happened to Trump in Washington or New York.
Nice.
The problem with this issue is not peculiar to Judge Cannon, at least her detecting of it. Justice Thomas wrote about this very issue in the immunity case in his concurrence. Attorneys General Ed Meese and Mike Mukasey have both filed a friend of the court brief on this issue, pointing out and explaining why the appointment was unconstitutional.
Okay. So we've been talking about this on the show. We've had Julie Kelly, Mike Davis, and they'll be most likely actually calling in, and we may have a Donald Trump legal defender and expert able to join the program in just a moment. We're going to be bringing on, again, we are in a breaking news environment right now. The case against Donald Trump has been dismissed. The documents case, the most dangerous case against Donald Trump, has now been thrown into the trash compactor, into the garbage, and it is gone. It is gone on the grounds that Jack Smith's appointment is illegal. Now, this is something that was filed as a concurrence with the court by Ed Meese, who was the former attorney general under Ronald Reagan. Ed Meese has been petitioning the court, saying there is no way that Jack Smith has a legal appointment. The reason why is because these special counsels should be Senate confirmed. Jack Smith was not confirmed. They just found this like bleary-eyed radical who is this disgraced lawyer who's been overturned by the Supreme Court 9-0 before on charges against Republicans. They found an assassin. They found their own assassin. That's what this is. I hate to use those words, but we must couch all of this in those terms at this point, because we've seen the end stage of what they wish to do to Donald Trump. They found their assassin, and this is a legal assassin, ladies and gentlemen. And that legal assassin's bullet has once again whizzed past Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is now standing completely and totally victorious.
Absolutely. And I obviously respect Bill Barr. You got the two best experts, Bill Barr and Trey Gowdy, on all of this. But at the end of the day, if you look at what we've learned from the mishandling of classified documents, apparently the FBI staged photos. I mean, there were lots of problems. The media was alerted to be there. Versus how the Biden mishandling of classified documents, they were given a week's notice to go in and clean up. Robert Hur never disclosed which documents Joe Biden mishandled, which was a very important part of our investigation with respect to the Biden influence peddling schemes, because there are two specific emails, and Robert Hur knew exactly which two emails we had in possession that appeared to be classified documents that Hunter Biden was sending to these Ukrainian oligarchs. So we never were given the information as to which documents were mishandled. I think if you look at how the Hur case was handled, this was clearly the right decision by the judge, and I applaud that decision.
Sir, one more question for you. You've called for a public hearing to take place 1 week from today that would include the head of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle. Sir, will that happen?
I'm 100% confident that's going to happen. We've been communicating back and forth with the director. By next Monday, she should have a lot of answers to a lot of questions that not only the Oversight Committee has, but the American people have. We're going to receive a briefing tomorrow. The Oversight Committee is going to receive a temporary briefing as to what they know thus far. But on Monday, we'll have a full-scale committee hearing that will hopefully deliver some answers that every American has about what went wrong, and try to determine if we're in a better shape moving forward to protect not only Donald Trump, but also Joe Biden. And I believe we should have Secret Service protection for Robert F. Kennedy as well.
James Comer, thank you for your time. We'll follow all of it, including that briefing tomorrow that comes up first, and then a public hearing perhaps a week from today on live television. Thank you, sir. James Comer.
Oh, man, we are so here for it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, here is the documentation. I know, I get it. There's a lot. I get it. We're not one for hopium or copium. We do try and keep a positive esprit de corps on this channel. And so we do our very best to deliver the news to try and not be a doomer, right? Some days suck. For instance, there was a period of time for 6 straight months where Donald Trump just continually got charged inside of jurisdictions and the federal government laid on full fire on Donald Trump and had a total and complete stranglehold on him, his time. Remember, there was a 3-month period where we were just in and out of that dingy, rat-infested courtroom in New York. This is the win. Okay? That's it. This is it. This is the win. It is here on your screen. There it is in black and white. President Trump's motion to dismiss the unlawful appointment has been granted. The superseding indictment is dismissed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is over. It's so over, and it's so great. Okay, we have some breaking news here, ladies and gentlemen, and then we are going to be bringing in Donald Trump's attorney and Trump legal attorney and Trump legal surrogate, who's just getting set in our new studio. So I'm out of the studio, and we are able to bring a guest in from our new studio. So whatever, we'll do it live. Here we go. There is breaking news. There's breaking news. Donald Trump is set to announce his vice president today. We are a news program. We got to tell you this. Donald Trump set to announce his vice president today. So tune in, okay? And now is the time to subscribe.
We just got off the phone with the former president, and he said this: I am thrilled that a judge had the courage and wisdom to do this. This has big implications, not just for this case, but for other cases. The special counsel worked with everyone to try to take me down. This is a big deal. It only makes this convention more positive. This will be an amazing week. He said again and again that this was a big decision. He pointed to, Justice Thomas and the questioning in the Supreme Court on this very issue about the special counsel, but seemed to indicate that he thought that this would have implications for other cases. He did confirm that he's going to make a VP choice today. Ooh. And he said, Brett, there's other surprises to come. So I don't know what that means.
Okay, so if he's going to
I wanted to get reaction from the former president.
Yeah. Oh, man. You know what it's called? It's called our cup run. It's called our cup runneth over. All right, that's what this is called. Our cup runneth over. We were so excited. Speaking of divine providence, we have an entire team that's building our studio right now inside of the convention hall, and we are bringing to you our first, and we are honored to do so, our first guest from inside of that studio. Mehek Cooke is the attorney and Trump legal surrogate for the Trump campaign, and she joins us now live right now from Milwaukee. Okay, so this is exciting. We're doing this test, I guess, live. Typically, you wouldn't want to do this, but I want to make sure you can hear me and we can hear you. It's an honor to have you on the show, Mrs. Cooke.
Benny, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor for me to be here. And as your first guest, very big, exciting news between the VP and then breaking legal case.
So we are, you are live from our studio. We are in an Airbnb, but this is just too good. This news cycle is too good. We thought maybe we'd get like an hour break from the winning, but I guess not. Can you talk us through this legal ruling? This is apparently a 91-page ruling. So Judge Eileen Cannon did her work on this, but she's been circling around this question for a while. Is Jack Smith lawfully appointed? And she has a number of strong allies on this, including the former Attorney General Ed Meese.
Look, I think that this was one of the biggest legal liability cases that was out there. And thank God for the presidential immunity case in the Supreme Court. Justice Clarence Thomas gave us a slam dunk in his opinion. He specifically said, in no unclear terms, that Jack Smith did not have the appropriate legal authority because there was no statute that gave authority for him to be appointed. And when you take that, you run to Justice Cannon's courthouse and you say, look, Judge, he never had the authority. This lawfare has been all about getting Trump. There is no legal authority. And this is what Justice Cannon truly hung her legal opinion on. When you look at the appointment clause, you don't just get to appoint somebody to get a presidential candidate. This is ridiculous. And we're continuing to see the lawfare just crumble. From the hush money case, Benny, to today, this case is a slam dunk. And President Trump is going to continue winning in every single jurisdiction because these are made up cases and there's no strong legal authority.
So it's an honor to have you on the program as a scholar and somebody who speaks on behalf of a campaign and is somebody who is an attorney yourself. Can you please explain to us who are not professional attorneys and do our best to try and understand these things, Judge Thomas's writings here, because Clarence Thomas is the person who laid the groundwork for this. Could you sort of unpack that for us?
Yeah, so in the presidential immunity case, Supreme Court Justice Thomas specifically said that there was a serious question about how the Attorney General had violated the structure of creating a special counsel. You need legal authority anytime you do an appointment. There was no legal authority from the Attorney General to appoint Jack Smith. Cannot just appoint somebody in layman's terms willy-nilly because you want to incite lawfare against anybody, including President Trump. So Justice Thomas's opinion specifically said, hey, Jack Smith, you don't have the legal authority. You were appointed illegally. You don't have a case. So Justice Cannon took that side note that Justice Thomas put in that Supreme Court decision, and she truly ran with it in her decision. She specifically said the appointment clause does not give the Attorney General the authority to make this appointment of Jack Smith. And it's so interesting today, we talk about authority. When you live in a rule of law and you see dictatorship like this, that's dictatorship, Benny. When you're pushing from the government heavy-handed to come after your political opponents.
Yes. So this appointment should go through the Senate. Is this correct?
That's correct. So it's supposed to go through the Senate. It did not. This, again, was just through the Attorney General. He decided to hire a loser to come after President Trump.
So you're correct in that, but I think that you're actually pulling your punches, not just a loser, like a 9-0 loser going after a Republican who was set to run against Barack Obama for president in 2012 with specious charges that were thrown directly into a trash compactor and then a combustion engine by the Supreme Court, including the liberal wing of the Supreme Court, when we had a more liberal Supreme Court overruling Jack Smith in the 2012 charges against Bob McDonnell. Bob McDonnell, though, had his political career destroyed in all of this. And it's important to understand that's why we call Jack Smith a hatchet man, because he was used to destroy the political career of a threat to the system, a threat to Barack Obama. And this apparently was what they were trying to use him for now, but now they have been, I mean, this is now done, right? They're going to appeal in the 11th Circuit, I guess, but this is now finished.
You're right. It is finished. I think that Jack Smith is a dog with a bone. He will try to appeal this decision. But look, the rule of law is on our side. Had the Attorney General gone through Senate to get this appointment and then open up a documents case, we'd have a different conversation. I'd be pushing for presidential immunity. The fact that President Trump was president when he held on to these records, and there were so many flaws in even handling of this classified information from Jack Smith's team, we'd have a separate legal discussion. But right now, we're talking about dictatorship versus the rule of law. And this is where Jack Smith and his legal cronies totally screwed up, because they decided not to get that Senate confirmation and go after President Trump. And the rule of law is on his side. So the 11th Circuit is going to dismiss this case, in my opinion.
So we've already seen Merrick Garland on the verge of tears. You're a professional, so please, you don't have to join me in this. But every time he talks, he sounds like he's ready to burst into tears. He's such a disgrace to the legal system, and this must be. And forgive me, I'm no lawyer, but from our perspective, this must be the greatest humiliation for an attorney general. This has got to be like this side of being impeached. This has got to be just such a blight on your time as attorney general. What a humiliation for Merrick Garland. Can you sort of unpack this from his perspective?
Sure. As the attorney general, this is one of your biggest cases. This was your slam dunk case to save America, save democracy, according to Biden and all the people that have conducted lawfare, right? So the first thing I would think, if you have a law degree, you would look at the statute and make sure you are following, at least procedurally, to the T, getting that Senate confirmation. The fact that he skipped steps shows arrogance in the legal system. I don't need an attorney degree to tell you that. This was mere arrogance to try and get Trump, rather than follow even just the procedural steps to get a attorney appointed, like a special counsel like Jack Smith. So yes, this is humiliating. The arrogance is crumbling. And again, Benny, the political implication of this is more and more Americans are starting to see they're not going to get Trump, that he is unstoppable. He is the warrior we saw when he was attacked through that assassination. He continues to be a legal warrior and fight for the rule of law.
So the path forward here is they're going to go clang a bunch of pots and pans together in D.C., I guess, today. They've taken Morning Joe off the air because Donald Trump. Yes. So they've taken Nicole Wallace and Morning Joe off the air, which is, I find, so delicious, because what does that tell you about their shows, right? What does that tell? It tells you they're not news shows, right? They're screeching outrage porn for the left. But now what do you expect from the campaign perspective, from the Trump legal and campaign perspective out of the DOJ today? They've got to call a presser, and they're going to cry and bang pots and pans together. I assume, maybe not. Do you expect that maybe they just won't appeal this at all?
Look, I genuinely think that, again, Jack Smith is going to push and push, and he truly wanted to do what was right. If I were Attorney General after taking a beating, by the way, I'd follow the law and I wouldn't bring it like this, but he should back off. He should back down. He should do his job. He has a million things on his plate right now that he is not doing. He needs to represent the people of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an unfortunate connection error again. Ladies and gentlemen, that was live from inside of the GOP convention. We are very sorry about that. We decided to just let her rip and go live. We were planning on having the entire day to make sure that all of these bugs get solved. Perhaps we'll be able to bring her back. That would be great, because what a wonderful spokesperson for Donald Trump as a legal surrogate. Again, that was Mehek Cooke, the attorney and Trump legal surrogate, speaking with authority there. But we still had one small bug inside of the system. I bring you breaking news. Again, breaking news. Donald Trump will select his vice president today. Donald Trump will select his vice president today. Donald Trump has said he will be choosing a vice president today. My goodness gracious. My goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen. The winning continues, and it is blistering, and it is just, oh, it's so good. We're going to run out. We're going to run out of room for the tears and the salt. Oh, it's going to be so awesome. Okay, so here we go. Get ready. We have a few more guests that our producers are working on resolving right now, and hardwiring the studio. Let's pop on over to another legal expert available on Fox News. I believe that this is Trey Gowdy. Let's go.
This was something that had come up, in the immunity case. It was something that Justice Thomas gave a lot of attention to.
Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shannon Bream of Fox News commenting on this moments ago on Fox. Again, we are in a breaking news environment where Donald Trump's documents case has been dismissed. Fox's chief legal expert, Shannon Bream, sounding
Well, this was something that had come up, in the immunity case. It was something that Justice Thomas gave a lot of attention to in his concurrence. And it was something that Jack Smith was worried about, that they would go this way. I mean, he recently, pushed back on this idea that Justice Thomas's concurring opinion in the immunity case could be applied, because in that way it could put him in this exact spot. Justice Thomas had questioned whether the issue of special counsel, that office, had actually been created properly. And because of that, he questioned the very underpinnings of Jack Smith's appointment. So there'd been a lot of back and forth, and Smith's office was certainly aware and worried about the possibility that they could be facing this in this case, because, of course, President Trump's team was going to look at every possible thread in that immunity case in order to be able to push back on all of the cases that were still pending. And because of that, you've got this very strong concurrence from Justice Thomas saying, I agree with the whole thing, but I also am not even sure that special counsel was properly created, and therefore Jack Smith's role in this is deeply under question. So listen, the Trump team made very good use of that concurrence, and today it ends up to what I feel like I think is a pretty stupendous decision in that it's hard to believe that the theory was applied so quickly and so literally in this case that Judge Cannon thought, all right, that's enough. The whole case goes.
Wow.
Man, the whole case goes. The whole case is gone. Mehek Cooke is somebody who, again, was just on our program. We're going to work to ensure that perhaps we can get her back. Also, Mike Davis potentially joining the program in just a moment to discuss this. Nobody doing a victory dance, nobody doing an end zone dance harder than Mike Davis right now. Certainly that is the case. President Reagan said, this is, by the way, Mehek Cooke, who was just on the program, Donald Trump legal spokesperson. President Reagan said, don't be afraid to see what you see. And I know what I saw. President Trump's a warrior, a survivor, a unity leader who stood up after being shot to assure his supporters that he and everything was okay. He unified the American people. Okay. What a wonderful statement there from Charlie Kirk. Here we go. Today's ruling is a massive humiliation for Attorney General Merrick Garland ahead of the worst, already the worst Attorney General in American history. Judge Cannon's ruling confirms that Garland's appointment was illegal from the start. There's no authorizing such an appointment. What does this mean? I mean, this is the question that I want to ask the next legal expert that is available. Again, we have our studio getting hardwired right now, and we'll be bringing you further legal expertise on this question. Judge Cannon's ruling confirms that Garland's appointment with Smith was illegal from the start. Well, then what happens to all the other, what happens to all this other trash that Smith has thrown at Trump? What happens to all the other cases? What happens to the DC case? If Jack Smith is illegal, then what does that mean? That means that all of his other cases fall apart, right? Presumably, that has to follow. No? Okay. We'll ask the smart people. When we were locked and loaded, there's no authorizing such an appointment or providing it any funding. In essence, Garland claimed unilateral authority to pick whoever he wanted to bring whatever charges he wanted against any person he wanted. Par for the course for the Attorney General who's weaponized the DOJ against his political enemies more than any person in history. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes. Now his efforts is collapsing. Soon Anna Paulina Luna will hopefully hold him in inherent contempt for shielding President Biden's senility from the public. Keep Merrick Garland off the Supreme Court. It deserves to go down as one of the greatest victories in American history of conservatism. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Mitch McConnell did a great job there. I'm not going to say it. I know. Roast me in the comments. Mitch McConnell is the reason why Merrick Garland is not currently on the Supreme Court deciding the other way here. Okay, because so this would all be happening under another, under Dr. Jill Biden as Attorney General, right? And and that Merrick Garland would be on the Supreme Court. We're not for Republicans fighting in the Senate. And so this is something that I think is really, really poignant and something very important to see. And we must destroy Merrick Garland's legacy. We should do ALX. We should do a Merrick Garland in collapse, in panic segment every single show. We must destroy this man's legacy. We must prove that when you do what Merrick Garland has done, which is to become a political, legal terrorist, this man is a terrorist of Donald Trump. This man is such an humiliation, such a blight on the legal system that there are consequences, right? And the consequences, you will destroy your legacy. You're not going to get, they're not going to build little statues of you. You're going to go down in humiliation as a divisive, overturned, utterly embarrassed, in total collapse. Merrick Garland's entire DOJ is in total collapse right now. Do we have any commentary from them right now? Has the DOJ said anything? I'd like to get that. Has the DOJ said anything? Would like to get that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump will be picking his VP today. Oof, what's it going to be? Many people are saying that Donald Trump will be picking J.D. Vance. We do not have that confirmed. Many people are saying Donald Trump will be picking J.D. Vance. We do not have it confirmed. Let's see what General Michael Flynn has to say about this case, ladies and gentlemen, as we effort one more time a locked and loaded studio, which I can now report will be bringing Mike Davis to you momentarily. Given the recent decision by Judge Cannon and Jack Smith's classified document case, the following can now be stated. Effectively, that Jack Smith needs to be investigated. I have a feeling, so reading through this, effectively, like there's going to be a major case against Jack Smith then. So the case, so the hunters become the hunted, as they say. Donald Trump sounding off seconds ago. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump sounding off seconds ago, and I can report to you that Donald Trump has also was live on Fox. We'll bring you those clips. So this is Donald Trump's first statement on Jack Smith, and then we're going to be bringing you Mike Davis. Ooh, baby. Oh, baby. Lock in. Here we go. As we move forward and uniting this nation from the horrific events of Saturday, the dismissal of the lawless indictment in Florida should just be the first step, followed quickly by the dismissal of all witch hunts. January 6th hoax in D.C., Manhattan DA zombie case, New York Attorney General scam, fake claims about a woman I never met. The Georgia perfect phone call on all charges. Oh, man. Fannie Willis is going to be facing a big Fannie spanking very, very soon. All Democrat Justice Department coordinated all of these political attacks, which are election interference conspiracy by Joe Biden's political opponent. Let us come together and end the weaponization of the justice system, make America great again. Ooh, baby. Let's lock and load. All right. So we have I'm waiting, ladies and gentlemen, for Mike Davis. Our studio is getting him set right now. Mike Davis is set and ready to go, but I need confirmation that we are ready to go. Once again, our last wonderful guest, we had one small technical error. Okay. All right. Mike Davis is set and ready to go. I do not want to keep the man who is, I'll just say this really quickly because, he turns red Mike turns red very easily. I'll say it before he comes on air. Mike Davis is the reason we have this decision. I'll say it. I'll flatter him. Mike Davis is the reason we have this decision. Mike Davis personally is the man who fought for this Trump Supreme Court more than any other human being alive. He did so inside of the Senate. He did so as as a personal advisor to multiple Supreme Court justices. And the reason we have these legal victories today is because of Mike Davis. And the man who is doing the touchdown end zone dances of all end zone dances joins us now, the great Mike Davis of the Article 3 Project. Let's go. I know you turned red, Mike, so I'm just going to flatter you here before you get on air, and we're going to rock and roll. Okay, that shot looks fantastic. Mike, we're kicking the tires on this new studio. You look great, dude.
Thank you. And I would say this, that President Trump is announcing his vice president today, but he's already announced his viceroy, Mike Davis. And we are going to go back to Washington after November 5th, 2024, starting on January 20th, and we're going to clean up that place. So I'm very excited.
So this is the vice. Maybe this is the vice that Donald Trump has been teasing. Perhaps he's once again doing an end run around, and he's just saying the vice I really meant was Viceroy Mike Davis. Make sure that he grows a very long mustache with wax on the tips and starts wearing the highfalutin outfits of the 17th century.
That's exactly right. I can go to Ben's closet and get all of his fancy clothes, and I will be a very good viceroy.
You'll find black T-shirts, Mike. That's all you'll find. You gotta go with another Ben. So let's rock and roll here. We were just again singing the swan song of Merrick Garland here. Now I want to sort of focus on Merrick Garland because Jack Smith is just a dumb tool that Merrick Garland is using, and a hatchet man, as you have called him dozens of times in this program, and for lack of a better term, a legal assassin. But Jack Smith is just a dumb person. He's clearly very stupid. And so the person really behind all this is Merrick Garland. And do I have this right? Is this the worst day of Merrick Garland's life right now?
Yeah, I mean, I always say that Jack Smith is the Scud missile that the Democrats bring in to take out presidential nominees. Jack Smith got brought in to take out former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell, a likely presidential or vice presidential contender. In 2016, Jack Smith brought a bogus case against Governor McDonnell, won a criminal conviction that was later reversed unanimously 8-0 by the Supreme Court of the United States. It would have been 9-0, but Justice Scalia passed away. You would think that after you got beat 8-0 at the Supreme Court that you would just go away. He got banished to The Hague, Jack Smith did, and then he got brought back by Merrick Garland and Joe Biden to take out President Trump. And he just got a very bad ruling by Judge Cannon in the Southern District of Florida, where Judge Cannon correctly held that the Office of Special Counsel is not constitutional. It violates both the Appointments Clause of the Constitution and the Appropriations Clause. If you want to have officers of the United States, new officers of the United States, they must be created by Congress through statute. And the Office of Independent Counsel under Ken Starr was the last independent counsel that was created by statute. Congress let that lapse. And so what did the Justice Department do? They just tried to create the Office of Special Counsel through fiat, and that is unconstitutional, as Judge Cannon correctly held. If you want to have officers, Congress has to pass a law, and that officer must be nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. And so Jack Smith essentially has all the powers of every U.S. attorney in the country in his office, and it's created by fiat, by regulation of the Justice Department, and not by statute. And he also essentially gets an unlimited budget, which violates the Appropriations Clause. And so Judge Cannon correctly dismissed these cases against this case against President Trump down in Mar-a-Lago for the Presidential Records Act case, for presidential records he's allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act. And if President Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland want to bring new charges against President Trump, you can do it through the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of Florida. That U.S. Attorney manages his assistant U.S. attorneys on a day-to-day basis. They're constrained by Congress. They're constrained by law. They're constrained by a budget, by an appropriation, and they have to make decisions. Do they want to bring a bogus political persecution against President Trump, or do they want to fight, real crimes down in the Southern District of Florida?
This sounds like such an important question. So, okay, let's take the bitter personalities out of this that sort of electrify and accelerate the conversation and just look straight at the law. As you've explained it here, Mike, what this does is it makes the president and his Department of Justice less dictatorial and less like an authoritarian terrorist organization in a third world country that can just appoint whoever they want as a political scud missile, as you said. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah, exactly. And the problem with the special counsel office created by fiat through regulation is it's not accountable. It's actually intentionally not accountable by regulation. So the Attorney General of the United States, to whom this special counsel is supposed to report, is actually does not run the day-to-day operations of the special counsel's office. So you do not have an officer of the United States managing this special counsel, and that's what makes it unconstitutional. It violates the Appointments Clause in the Constitution. You also, this special counsel essentially has an unlimited budget, which violates the Appropriations Clause. Judge Cannon did exactly the right thing. She's going to take heat for it, but who cares? This is why federal judges have lifetime tenure and pay protection, because they don't have to worry about their next job, and they shouldn't care about the politics. Her job is to follow the Constitution. Her job is to make sure that criminal defendants are not railroaded by the government, and she did her job today.
I do want to, okay, so now that we've covered that, and I think that that's just something that anybody who's clear-eyed should be able to agree with, that no matter who's president, the president shouldn't have the right through his Department of Justice to appoint anyone he wants that can have an unlimited budget to destroy his political enemies. It seems rife for abuse, Mike. That seems like not the way a system of checks and balances and law and order should function. So thank you for establishing that. Can we get more granular here? Again, is this the worst day of Merrick Garland's life? This has to be, this side of getting impeached, this has to be one of the greatest legal humiliations that any attorney general could possibly face. This is doomsday for Merrick Garland, no?
Yeah, so remember, with all of this unprecedented Republic-ending lawfare and election interference by President Biden and his Attorney General Merrick Garland and their special counsel, Jack Smith, and Jay Bratt, the counselor to the special counsel, these this is political persecution. You had the Supreme Court of the United States smack them down in two monumental cases. The Fisher case, where the Supreme Court held that the Biden Justice Department has essentially politicized and weaponized a post-Enron obstruction of justice statute intended to go after corporate fraud, to go after Trump and his political enemies. And then the Supreme Court also held that the Biden Justice Department violated the separation of powers and held that that the President of the United States is immune from criminal prosecution for his official acts. Of course he is. Why would he not be? Members of Congress are immune. Federal judges are immune. Why wouldn't the President of the United States be immune? And the Supreme Court had to decide this because President Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland took our country to the brink with this lawfare and election interference. And they took the country to the brink in many other ways. Look what just happened to President Trump after President Biden said that President Trump was essentially Hitler and had to be stopped at all cost. And then President Trump was within 1 second and one movement of having his head blown off on national TV. President Biden has gone way too far with his rhetoric. He's gone way too far with his actions. And it's a shame. It's truly shameful what President Biden has done to this country because he hates President Trump so much, and he's so fearful that Trump is going to beat Biden like a drum on November 5th, 2024. Look what Trump's opponents have done to him. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to throw him in prison for the rest of his life. When that didn't work, they tried to just take him off the ballot. And now President Trump's opponents tried to kill him.
How will history remember Merrick Garland and Jack Smith, Mike?
I think that they're a disgrace. Merrick Garland is a disgrace to our country. He has allowed this Justice Department to be politicized and weaponized so he can do his boss's bidding. Thank God that our home state senator Chuck Grassley stopped this nomination of Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court, and then President Trump was able to put my former boss, Justice Neil Gorsuch, on the Supreme Court. Can you imagine where we would be as a country if Hillary Clinton won that election and she was able to replace the late, great Justice Scalia with Merrick Garland? I mean, our country would be doomed. If you think the COVID lockdowns were bad, where they took away our God-given rights to speak, associate, worship, they're trying to take away our God-given right to protect ourselves. Just imagine if these leftists take over the Supreme Court. And that's why this election is so important, because the next president is going to appoint 2, maybe 3 justices to the Supreme Court. And do you want President Biden or President cackling Kamala to replace Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court with Tanya Shukin? Or do you want President Trump to replace Justice Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court with a justice who understands that the very limited but critical role of the Supreme Court in our constitutional order?
Can you that really hit me like a bomb, Mike? Can you please unpack 2 or 3 justices being replaced in the next presidential tenure?
Well, look at the age. You just have to look at the ages of these justices. You have many justices who are going to be in their 70s. Justice Clarence Thomas, Justice Alito, the Chief Justice, John Roberts, Justice Sotomayor. I mean, there could be many justices who step down over the next 4 years. And who do you want replacing those justices? Our Supreme Court is the last line of defense that is protecting us from these leftists, from these radicals, from these Marxists. And everything is on the line on November 5th. Our God-given rights to speak, associate, worship, and protect ourselves. And that is why putting President Trump back in the White House is so critically important. It's why it's so critically important that Republicans, conservatives, right-thinking Democrats, and independents rally around President Trump and these Senate candidates, these House candidates. They'll impeach. If Democrats win the House, they're going to impeach these Supreme Court justices. They're already trying to do it. AOC is already trying to do it. So this election is critically important because we saw what these Democrats, what these Biden and Obama Democrats are willing to do. They wanted to bankrupt, imprison for life, take off the ballot, and now assassinate President Trump. They'll stop at nothing. And that's why we need to turn out. We need to vote as early as possible. Do not wait till Election Day, because if you think the BLM and Antifa riots were bad in 2020, just wait for the Hamas riots in 2024. Bank your vote. Vote as early as possible.
Mike, you did bring up Sotomayor, who may well, based on her legal rulings, she may well retire to the hospice of the mentally deranged, just like Joe Biden. I think they might even share a room together. So let's say Sotomayor does decide to resign in the next administration, Donald Trump as president. Would you serve as the viceroy on the Supreme Court?
You know what? I don't think being a member of Congress or the Attorney General or even a Supreme Court justice is powerful enough. The viceroy is not accountable to courts or Congress. So I think it's really important that I go serve as the viceroy.
Donald, so there's an article in Axios today this morning, Mike, and this is my last question for you, saying that Democrats have all but given up in 2024. And they go to multiple members of Congress who are Democrats and saying, we're finished. All the donor money is now going to like the Senate or Congress. That they're in panic. There's total disarray. And there's a real gloom and doom. They're taking Morning Joe off the air. For the love of God, Mike, they're taking Morning Joe off the air. This is how bad things have gotten. So Donald Trump wins. This is not just starry-eyed, buttery optimism now. This is something that looks like Donald Trump is the presumptive president. Okay, so let's just go down there metaphorically. What must Trump do to prevent this in the future? What must Trump do to, as a parent, create a consequence for Jack Smith and Merrick Garland so that they feel some heat, and so that this Biden Justice Department feels some heat in order to put sort of like in order to put a marker in the road, like abandon all hope, ye who wish to bring lawfare here.
Yeah, I mean, what President Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland and Jack Smith and Jay Bratt and so many others inside and outside of government have done is they've engaged in a criminal conspiracy against President Trump, his top aides like Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon, who are sitting in prison right now, his attorneys like Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman and Jeff Clark, his supporters on January 6th. This is political persecution, and that's very clear that this is political persecution. And the fact that the Supreme Court of the United States in the Fisher case reversed these obstruction charges for January 6th. They have politicized, weaponized, contorted federal statutes to go after Trump, his top aides, his lawyers, his supporters. They have taken our country to the brink. Again, 1 second or one movement difference by President Trump and his head would have been blown off on national TV. The leading presidential candidate became that close to an assassination. He looked at one screen instead of the other screen. And if he would have looked at the other screen, he'd be dead right now. And that's how close we've come. And it's because I blame this squarely on President Biden. I know that's strong, but I blame it squarely on President Biden because President Biden has demonized President Trump. He has said that President Trump is a fascist dictator, and he has said that we need to stop President Trump at all costs. And that's what almost happened with that assassination attempt. And President Biden should be ashamed of himself. He should bow out of this race. His own party doesn't want him. He is a disgraceful, evil, corrupt old man. I don't say that lightly because I don't think that way about President Obama, even though I strongly disagree with President Obama on many things. I don't think he's an evil man. I think President Biden is an evil man. I think he's a corrupt man. His daughter's diary, Ashley's diary, talks about taking inappropriate showers with her father. This guy is a scumbag. He's a disgrace to this country. He needs to bow out. He needs to go away.
Yeah. And the easiest way to make Joe Biden go away or to punish Joe Biden would be what in a second term? Would it be a special counsel? Would it be a full-scale criminal investigation into a criminal conspiracy? How do you put the screws to the people who've been doing this to Donald Trump in order to say, don't ever do this again?
Well, I would say this, that President Biden should be the happiest man alive after this Fisher decision by the Supreme Court, by this presidential immunity decision by the Supreme Court, and this special counsel ruling by Judge Eileen Cannon, because his old, decrepit, corrupt, evil ass is going to be out of office on January 20th, 2025. No doubt he's going to be gone. And he better be thanking God that these courts, the Supreme Court and Judge Cannon, ruled the way that they did, because otherwise Joe Biden could have been facing the clink.
Wow. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Viceroy, I don't know if we have, do we have the Mike Davis as the Viceroy? I know there's a number of memes out there. Perhaps we don't have at the ready. I would have loved to have put them up. We'll get to hopefully, Mike, you can join us this evening for our scheduled live. We didn't know we'd be in a breaking news environment. We deeply appreciate your time here. And yeah, we'll have plenty of memes of you set and ready to go tonight.
Thank you, sir.
The Viceroy, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Davis. The great Mike Davis. The great Mike Davis. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have some breaking news, more breaking news. Donald Trump allegedly, not allegedly, has given an interview. ALX, make sure that I check this. This was before the shooting. I want to note this. This was before the shooting. All right. So Donald Trump gave an interview before the shooting. This is very interesting. His last interview before he was shot by a Joe Biden donor. We are going to hit that. We are going to hammer that into the ground. Shot by a Joe Biden donor. This individual donated through Act Blue, which is the Democrat mechanism for donations, to a Get Out the Vote campaign for Joe Biden on the day of Joe Biden's inauguration. Very strange here that the assassin has no social media record, no photos of him anywhere, that his phone is locked, so the government can't get into it because there's just no. We can hack the entire infrastructure of nation states, but we can't get into the guy's phone. And so great, good job, all. Donald Trump, guys, get me the full. Let's get the full interview, okay? Let's get the full interview. We have a few clips here. There's a full interview of Donald Trump with Harrison Faulkner, who I love. Let's grab that. No, it has aired. It has aired at ALX. Let's grab that full interview and we'll load that up for you, and you can watch the full interview with the president. But it is really important to note and really important to pin down the details of this near assassination attempt on President Trump. And also, I have some good news to bring you that is breaking right now. So here we go. The assassin, we know nothing about. We know that he donated to Joe Biden. That's what we know. We know that the assassin donated to Joe. So he was a left-winger. They say he's a registered Republican. Bullshit. Sorry. Try not to swear, but in the primaries, in these swing states, there was a trend that we covered on this show that Democrats registered as Republicans to vote in open primaries. There's an open primary in Pennsylvania. So you cannot take that, you can throw that directly into the trash where it belongs. This person was not a Republican. This person, this individual, according to all reports, crawled onto the rooftop at this location that was inside the security perimeter around Donald Trump. And we say that because you can see on a map the security perimeter. This area should have been secured, but it wasn't. Why is that the case? Doesn't make any sense. Why did Donald Trump have Secret Service agents around him to cover him that were 2 feet shorter than Donald Trump? Why did the law enforcement officer who engaged said individual, the assassin who crawled on the rooftop, why did that law enforcement officer not call it in? There was a law enforcement officer, a local state trooper, that caught the guy climbing onto the roof, and he pointed a gun at him, and the officer just let him go. What the hell is going on with that? Why did the Secret Service have an eye on this assassin for minutes on end and not take the shot. Why is that the case? So you're going to let some Weasley little scumbag army crawl on a roof with a rifle and hit the president, the protectee, with a bullet. And before you engage, none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. I think that we absolutely are looking at an internal assassination attempt. That's what I believe. That's what I believe in my heart of hearts. Oh, so all of the lawfare against Donald Trump falls apart and suddenly a lone gunman appears? Yeah. No. This is, I'm calling it right now. We have a right to ask these questions about what occurred in Pennsylvania. Again, we know nothing. We know nothing about the guy. Some 20-year-old living today doesn't have a single photo ever posted on social media? Really? Doesn't have any social media accounts? Really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't buy it as far. I don't buy it as far as I could throw it. What garbage, ladies and gentlemen. What trash. President Trump speaking on Fox News. My team is efforting the clips. Here's part of it. We're going to be doing a lot more in-depth research into what is going on here. We're going to be doing that live tonight. We also have Don Jr. tonight, live. Tonight we will be live from inside of the GOP convention. Inside the GOP convention. Look at where we've come. Started from the bottom, now we're here, ladies and gentlemen. We will be inside the GOP convention. Don Jr. will be joining us tonight. Mike Davis will be back tonight. I want to get Don Jr.'s take on all of this. All of it will be powered by our partner, Patriot Mobile, our exclusive partner at the RNC. We partner with Patriot Mobile because they power us. They power our show with regularity whenever we're on the road. They power our phones to make sure that I can we can get this breaking news as fast as possible. Patriot Mobile is the company that we trust with our communications and the company that we trust in order to keep us live and on the air. So get ready. Tonight, Don Jr. will be joining us along with a ton of other people. We're going to start at approximately 5 p.m. Central Time. That would be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To get yourself onto this, the most dependable network in America, go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT right now. Get a free month when you use the offer code Benny. Patriot Mobile, our exclusive sponsor for tonight and today and for the entire RNC. So awesome. Okay, here we go. And by the way, you can watch the entire convention through our broadcast. We're going to be doing the entire convention so our broadcast will be like a pre-program, and then we are going to get the chat rolling. Okay, we're going to get the chat rolling. Don Jr. is going to be up in the chat. We're going to get the whole thing rolling and rocking, and then we're going to go through the convention. So awesome. We're going to go through the convention. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. We're so excited. We're so thankful to you. We're so thankful to you in the audience for trusting us and for giving us sort of the power and the motivation and the energy to go out and build. It is all for you, ladies and gentlemen. And there is a man who would take a bullet for you. I like to think that I would defend my family. I like to think I know I will defend my family, and I would gladly lay down my life for my wife, my children. Any good man, I think, would. Any moral man would. There's a man who would take a bullet for this national family that we have, our nation. It is President Trump. President Trump is a man who would defend you, who would gladly stand in the gap, and has now taken metaphorical legal bullets for you, even as those bullets drop to the ground, a la the Matrix, right? You see Neo, grab the bullet in midair. That is the legal. That is what is legally happening with the case against Donald Trump, but also literally taking a bullet for you, Donald Trump, President Trump. In his last interview before being shot. We are loading the full interview for you right now. Here is what the president had to say in part.
Reports that the Biden campaign now is polling Vice President Kamala Harris and the strength against you to see how she would do. So, Mr. President, what I realize is It has to almost be her if it's not Biden, if they want that money, that campaign cash, that $90+ million, because her name is on the ticket with him. So if she slides to the top, that makes logical sense. Otherwise, it gets apportioned in different ways. She's younger. Do you care if it's Kamala Harris that you run against? And what would you do if it were?
She's got some very radical left ideology that's not going to sell for this country. The country's tired of it. The country's tired of woke. The country's tired of all of these crazy things, open borders. Who wants open borders? Who wants men to be allowed to play in women's sports and set records that would never even have been thought of? This is not fair. This is so demeaning to women. Who wants this? It's not even competition. Who wants this to happen? How can you have an ideology? You know, I bring that up because it always gets big applause at the rally, right? And the rallies because it's so basic. Men playing in women's sports. We are not going to allow it. And it gets a big hand, but it's like open borders. Who wants open borders where criminals are pouring into our country? She never went to the border. She says she did once, but she went to a part of the border that you and I would like to go to vacation, okay? She was given the responsibility of the border. I have Tom Homan lined up. We have the greatest people. We're going to close our border. We're going to have people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally.
No, you said day one you would do that.
Day one.
Day one. Donald Trump on his way, actually, to Pennsylvania, recording this interview. Again, the last interview that Donald Trump recorded before being shot. Donald Trump is on the ground in Milwaukee. He got on the ground last night. And something also amazing is happening across the country. The Virginia governor has ordered all flags to be flown at half-mast in honor of the America First MAGA patriot who was slain by a bullet fired by a Joe Biden donor. Check this out.
In our prayers today, Corey Comparatori. He is the 50-year-old firefighter and dad who was shot and killed at the Pennsylvania rally on Saturday. Husband and father of 2 daughters. Today, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin posted this just moments ago, and we want to share it with you. He says, today I ordered flags to be flown at half-staff in memory and respect of Corey Comparatori, who tragically lost his life shielding his family. Virginia stands in solidarity with all Pennsylvanians, and we continue to pray for his family. Also in our prayers, the 2 victims who were injured in that shooting and have been upgraded from critical to stable condition.
That is wonderful news. We have other wonderful news for you, ladies and gentlemen. The GoFundMe for the families of the slain has passed nearly $4 million in 24 hours. Let's refresh and see. This is the official GoFundMe that is supported by President Trump, that is supported by our show, and I guess technically you, right? Because we as a show have also donated. The Trump family has personally donated to this. A number of exceptional individuals. Kid Rock gave $50,000. Dana White matched that with $50,000 as well, and we are almost at $4 million for the family. President Donald Trump has authorized this account to place donations for supporters of family killed in today's brutal, horrific assassination attempt. All donations will be directed to these proud Americans as grieve. May God bless and unite this nation. Fantastic. Just a wonderful thing. Rick and Ann Scott, here's another $50,000. Isn't that wonderful? I believe this is Senator Rick Scott, but I'm not exactly certain. But Rick and Ann Scott giving $50,000 as well. So you can see the donations pouring in. Wonderful, beautiful, small dollar donations. And there have been 53,000 donors. That's amazing. Almost 54,000 donors. So this is us coming together as a country, ladies and gentlemen, coming together as a country. Donald Trump, seconds ago on Truth Social, in light of what's going on in the world today, I believe that it is imperative that Robert F. Kennedy receive Secret Service protection immediately. Given the history of the Kennedy family, is obviously the right thing to do. So Donald Trump going to be calling for unity here in the nation. Donald Trump unifying the nation. Look at this. This is Donald Trump's hero's welcome, like a conquering hero in Milwaukee. Donald Trump is in Milwaukee right now. We are in Milwaukee right now. We're very excited to be here. And our programming is just going to be We're very, very excited. Tomorrow, we're going to have Vivek Ramaswamy and Eric Trump together live inside of the GOP convention. It's just going to be awesome. Here's Donald Trump's arrival in Milwaukee. Donald Trump coming down the stairs of his plane, waving. Who is Donald Trump waving to? Is Donald Trump waving to anybody? Let's go ahead and check. Oh, yeah, baby. It's a bunch of Air Force airmen who are there to greet Donald Trump. Let's look here once again. There you go. You can see here the airmen that are stationed at this field in uniform out there cheering for President Trump. What a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. What an incredible, incredible thing to see. The Secret Service, apparently in breaking news, will testify, the head of the Secret Service, who should have already resigned in disgrace and should face criminal prosecution. I am going to begin to bang a drum here. I've decided over the last night that I'm going to bang a drum that the Secret Service and the people who deny Donald Trump more protection and the people who allowed for Trump to get shot should be criminally prosecuted for malfeasance. I think so. I personally think so. The head of the Secret Service, who's hired all these DEI agents to come in, who wants to make 30% of the agents female by 2030. So, like these agents who aren't tall enough to cover Donald Trump, yeah, they should be criminally prosecuted. That's what I personally believe. They should have a malfeasance and also they should be prosecuted for homicide. Look at this. These clips. Check this out. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. I posted this yesterday. It went thermonuclear. Almost has 100,000 likes on it. Has 9 million views. Absolute humiliation with this gaggle of female Secret Service agents. Look at this order. Can't holster their weapons. Gear falling to the ground. Erratic, fearful movements. No show of force. DEI Secret Service makes presidents less safe. Look at this. Look at the Secret Service agent. Unable to holster her weapon. Incapable of holstering her weapon. Look at that. Look at that. How humiliating. These are the people that they have to guard President Trump. This is the best that you can get. You wouldn't let these people guard a nightclub in Atlanta. Screw Atlanta. You wouldn't let these people guard a nightclub in Youngstown, Ohio, or Gary, Indiana. But they're guarding the president of the United States, the savior of Western civilization, Donald Trump. This is the best that we can produce as a country. No, I'm sorry. I know military snipers. I know we have a ton of service members in my family, a ton of professional police officers in my family. Yeah, this is not the best that you can get. This is, in fact, the worst that you can get. And I wanted to show you one image that I think is quite cutting. I'm gonna have to search here because we do post a lot, and we have been posting quite a bit. Okay, here we go. If you want to get pissed off today, here's your image. There you go. So President Trump has a bloodied MAGA hat. Okay, there's blood all over his MAGA hat. There's blood all over his face. A huge chunk of his ear has been blown off. You have Secret Service agents that are taller than the president covering him. This is called being, covering him. They use their bodies to shield the president from any type of incoming ballistic or threat. Okay, that's fine. This guy's taller than President Trump. This guy's sort of hunched over. He's definitely taller than President Trump. What the hell is going on over here? This is not a personal attack. I don't even know this person. But if you had a basketball team, would you hire this person to be your center? How is somebody who is at least a foot shorter, at least, maybe 2 feet shorter than President Trump, how is that person supposed to cover President Trump? Can you explain that to me? Can somebody explain this person's taxpayer-funded salary on this detail? Go get yourself another job. Go be a cashier checkout person, or go be a doctor, or go be a nurse, or go do whatever you want to do. But being on Donald Trump's security team, not for you. Sorry. Just like I could not play in the NFL. Just like I could not be the center for the New York Knicks. Sometimes you're just not physically gifted for something. How is this possible? Does anybody explain that to me? Final thing I'll say on this, because this makes me so upset. Given all, they're going to try and sweep this under the rug, okay? Given all available information and all available video that we have, these snipers had a bead and were trained on the shooter for at least a minute. You can see they were looking directly at the shooter and in the shooter's direction for at least a minute. These guys had them in their sights, yet they allow this. I mean, you've seen photos of this. You've seen photos of this guy, right? Like this weakling, soy-infused, translucent-skinned, dork. I don't know what else to say. Dork. You allow this individual who clearly is not no pro and who, according to reports, wasn't a good enough shooter to make the shooting team at his high school. That's according to reports. You allow this guy to army crawl across an entire rooftop, get to the edge of the rooftop, set his sights on President Trump, and then fire 8 shots before engaging. Who gave the stand down order? Here's the question. These guys were able to straight up, these guys were able to send that individual to Valhalla for minutes on end. They were waiting in their comms. You can see, obviously, the communications gear here. They were waiting for someone to say, take the shot. They were waiting for someone to say, yeah, we're not going to let this person fire on Donald Trump. We are going to neutralize the threat before that threat engages the president, before a bullet blows off Donald Trump's ear, and by an act of God, not his skull, his chest, or his neck. Who gave the stand down order? Who told these guys who were fully equipped to smoke this Joe Biden donor crawling across a roof with a firearm? Who told them not to engage and to let them fire first? Let's just roll the dice and see what happens. It's a big question. Big question I hope is asked when Secret Service testifies in Congress.
Senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram is now on Capitol Hill. Chad, catch us up on this.
Harris, good morning. We just spoke with the chairman of the Senate Governmental Affairs Committee here that has jurisdiction over the Secret Service. This is Gary Peters, a Democrat of Michigan. And he says that he spoke to Alejandro Mayorkas yesterday. He says he wants to expedite hearings on this, but he did not guarantee that he would do something before the August recess. He also says that he wants this to be something that is bipartisan. Now, you mentioned Kimberly Cheadle. She is going to speak with leaders of the Homeland Security Committee today, and there's going to be a briefing for all committee members later on today and a big hearing on Monday before the House Oversight Committee. Listen.
I'm 100% confident that's going to happen. We've been communicating back and forth with the director. By next Monday, she should have a lot of answers to a lot of questions that not only the Oversight Committee has, but the American people have.
The Secret Service falls under the umbrella of the Department of Homeland Security. DHS is also trying to figure out how there was such a spectacular failure on Saturday.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news here, breaking news on our program. J.D. Vance has just departed his home in a motorcade. This is where J.D. Vance lives in Ohio. J.D. Vance lives outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. J.D. Vance is a senator from Ohio, a first-term senator from Ohio, who is a Yale graduate, who wrote Hillbilly Elegy, an incredible book, who is a absolute fierce fighter. J.D. Vance has just left his home in a motorcade. What does this mean? Does it mean he's been selected for vice president? Maybe. Maybe. We do not know yet. Maybe. But that would be amazing. J.D. Vance is an absolute and total icon for the America First movement. Maybe. But a really good indicator. We have no video of Doug Burgum in a motorcade or Marco Rubio in a motorcade. We have no video of any of these individuals in a motorcade. J.D. Vance in a motorcade, zipping down the road, leaving his home, presumably on his way to Milwaukee. You have to assume. Final thing that must be noted, since we are talking about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, even NBC News is now stating that the rooftop was a high priority vulnerability and was left unguarded on purpose. There is no other way to interpret this.
We do have some new information for you. A senior Secret Service source familiar with the planning of yesterday's event tells NBC News that the roof where the shooter was located was a well-known, high-priority vulnerability. It was identified just the day before during a security walkthrough. We've also just learned that there were 2 counter-sniper teams on site and that the counter-sniper did not need approval to shoot. One source telling NBC News that prior protocols were not followed. The FBI now says the alleged shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, appears to have acted alone. This all provides new context for the shocking scene last night in Butler, Pennsylvania, already burned into our collective consciousness.
I don't buy it. We on the show will continue to pursue justice on this. We on the show will continue to research. We have a number of contacts in Pennsylvania, including employees who live in Pennsylvania, and we are really hunting this down. We've been in contact with victims' families. We encourage you to donate. Be one of the individuals who donate to the families who were lost when this Joe Biden donor decided to open fire on a MAGA rally and blow the president's ear off, and pray. Continue to pray, ladies and gentlemen. Pray for President Trump. Pray for our safety. Pray for our nation. God has his hand on our country. God has his hand on President Trump. I want you to listen to this full interview with President Trump and Harris Faulkner right before Donald Trump got his ear blown off by a sniper. This is going to be an incredible week. Please join us. We will be live every single day at approximately 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Donald Trump now speaking. Let's go.
I got the chance to talk with the former president about what his family means to him before Saturday's rally and that chilling assassination attempt. Barron on the stage. Barron at his seat. Barron over there. Barron, I mean, he's with you now. He's a young man. He's 18. Is your family all in this time?
Oh, they're all in. That doesn't mean they're going to be working on the campaign. Ivanka did such a great job. Jared did a great job. They all did. Tiffany did a great job. I have a wonderful family. But, you know, they suffered, my family. They went after. These are wonderful, wonderful. They're not children, but to me, they're children. You know, no matter what age, they're always going to be children, right? Yeah. You know, you'll be. That's politically incorrect to say it's not. They're my children, and you love your children. It's a vicious business, politics. I used to think business was worse. After about 2 months of dealing with crazy lunatic Adam Schiff and these people, they're just liars. They're horrible liars. We dealt with so many sick, deranged people that are not stupid people, but they're deranged people. And it's a lot to ask a family to really go in and do it. Ivanka had a very, very successful business. Unbelievable. She was doing great. She wanted to work, and I could have made her ambassador to the United Nations. I wanted to, actually. I could have given her anything. She was the smartest, everything about her. And she only wanted one job, to get people jobs. She would go around and meet with companies to hire people. She just wanted, and they didn't treat her nicely. Just treat her, you know, treat people like with respect. Top student, top everything. Brilliant person. They didn't treat her nicely. They didn't treat really anybody nicely. Now, it's okay in my case because, you know, I guess I bought onto this, right? But, you know, they have a list of presidents, and it was always Andrew Jackson who was considered the worst treated president, and then Abraham Lincoln was second. I think I have to be at the top of that list because no president's ever been treated. I got impeached twice over. Absolutely. And by the way, the Republicans really stuck with me. Brilliant. Yeah, they were great. I could not ask for more. The Republicans, the level of support I had, you know, a lot of people don't have support from even their own party, but the
Biden.
Republicans really stuck.
I mean, that's one example.
Well, now you're looking at that. But I do this because we really have a country that's in trouble. We're in a failing nation. This nation, I call it a nation in decline, but we're going to turn it around fast. It's going to be fast. And, you know, I have a theme, Make America Great Again. I think it's probably MAGA. It's probably the greatest in the history of this country. There's never been anything like it. And I do it because we're going to make America great again, and we are, and we're going to do it fast.
How do you get your family ready for the onslaught again? I mean, there are reports that your wife, Melania, doesn't want to be full-time at the White House. And some of what you just described, I think people can understand that. And I've heard you say, and Mar-a-Lago is a gem, so you come here and you think he really could be doing anything else at this point. How do you get them ready for what's coming?
I could be doing anything else. I have properties like this all over the world. I could be living the greatest life. But this is more important to me. This is, to me, the greatest life because I can make a difference. If I'm at one of my beautiful properties in Scotland or any place, I have the best, I have the most beautiful stuff. Look at this. Look at where you're sitting right now. Palm Beach, everything could be beautiful. Look, I have an opportunity to do something. There are a lot of people that can sit at nice properties. A lot of people can go to wonderful hotels and get on their boats and have lots of fun, or yachts. What I'm doing is so much bigger than that. I'm solving problems of a country that, and a lot of people say there's nobody else can do it but Trump. I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of people say that. A lot of very smart people say that. You're the only one that can bring our country back. And we had this country really rocking and rolling. It was going great. And the country was coming together. Liberal people, very liberal people, people that I wouldn't have expected were calling. Let's get together. Let's listen. Then COVID came in. We had to solve that problem. We did a great job on that. We did a phenomenal, nobody knew what it was. But we had this rocking, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. The greatest economy in history. Everything was going good. I sat with two pollsters that said, sir, Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, if they came back and they did a president, vice president, they couldn't beat you. That was just before COVID came in. And then even after COVID, we did an unbelievable job. The stock market was higher than it was pre-COVID. I mean, it was actually higher when I handed it off.
Inflation when you left, 1.4%?
1.4%.
Yeah.
And it stayed that way. And then he blew it with all of his spending, his ridiculous spending on the Green New Deal, the Green New Scam, which is a shame. He blew it. I gave him a silver platter of the potential was so great. And what happened? They let millions of people pour into our country, and you haven't seen one thing yet: migrant crime, because they're just getting comfortable in our country right now. The migrant crime is going to be numbers that you haven't ever witnessed.
So how do
before.
you deal with that on day one?
We're getting him out of here. We're getting him out. He won't get him out. We'll get him out. We're going to get him out. We're going to deal with our local police forces. We're going to get him out. We have no choice. They're going to destroy our country. But just to leave on a much more positive note, we're going to make America great again. We're going to do it fast. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get prices down. We're going to get interest rates down. We're going to get rid of crime. The crime in our cities is just breathtaking. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And this is before the migrant crime. Look, Eric Adams, I have to say, he's working very hard. But he's now got hundreds of thousands of people that just got deposited in his city. We're going to get crime down. We're going to make this country strong and greater than it's ever been. And we can do that. Right now, we have to get elected. And I think we're going to do that based on the polls and everything. We should be able to do that. The Democrats are in disarray. I wish them luck. But I'm focusing on one thing, not even so much the party. I'm focusing on making this country better than it's ever been before, and I think we can do that.